Welcome to Worship Tutorials.
Hello.
All right, we're going to address the clickbait right off the top. The question we asked in the title is, are these the best amp-in-a-box pedals on the market?
We're serious. We're asking.
We're asking that question.
It's like, well, it depends on your situation, but
Best is a relative term. What we will say, though, in our experience, we came to this conclusion pretty objectively. We all said, Nick is in the back. He agrees with us. We all
just
said,
get used to it. Nick is always
here. These are the most amp-like amp-in-a-box pedals that we have ever experienced. And we're talking about tone, we're talking about feel, we're talking about feature set. Yeah, how they interact with pedals. Like, these are the most true. Like, this is the Ruby. Like, that's what you're seeing front and center.
What do you think that one is?
We have the amp that this is based on.
Basically.
The AC30 top boost, Vox AC30 top boost.
Well, this is like a 60s thing.
Yeah, but like the one we have, the Corgaro one, has the exact same feature, and it's like, it's all there. Like, you want to use the tremolo, you got to go to the tremolo channel. The normal channel sounds like the normal channel on the amp. The the brilliant channel sounds like the brilliant channel.
We'll get there.
So these are the most amp-like pedals that we have ever experienced.
Who are these for? These are for people who have said, I can't jive with these digital amp modelers because of this compression or something in that vein. That's who this is for. Find the one of these that is the most like the sound that you want and go for it. I want to talk about what is true sort of about all the pedals. So first of all, you could think of them as like a single amp in a pedal. Like, there's different variations, but for example, the Ruby is an AC30. Like, there's no deluxe reverb in there. There's no Marshall in there. It's just AC30. There's a few different variations of AC30 in it, but it's Vox AC30, right? The Woodrow is an early 50s Fender Tweed. The Dream, deluxe reverb. So there's a few like variations of a deluxe reverb, but it's deluxe reverb. So you're getting a single amp. Now you get a few options there. You get speaker options for all of them. You can cycle through different speaker options right here. I'm actually changing our sound, but we'll get back to it. All of them have like secondary functions built into them, or secondary types of sounds. Most of them have a reverb of some sort. Like the Dream, for example, we'll talk about it later, has a spring reverb because it's like owning a deluxe reverb, has a spring reverb in it. Vox AC30s don't have reverb in them. So they give you this room control. Same for the Woodrow, has a room control, so you get like a sense of space. But they all have like a boost function built into them. That is unlike owning the amp. Okay, so that's a little different. Yeah. When you buy an AC30, you don't get a boost built into it. Yeah. So there it's a little different. You get a little extra. You also don't have room built into it. But so they all have a boost built into them. They all have an app that you can connect with. You can save presets. It's not just a single preset. You can save a bunch of different presets, but you can access a single preset on the pedal when you're playing it. As far as at this point, they're not MIDI connectable, so you can't connect MIDI and just pick like preset number 65. It's like one sound, and then you can go back to what you see is what you get on the front of the pedal. Live.
Yeah, live in preset mode. You can toggle between that. You can change the way the foot switches work via the app. The app works really well. It's a mobile app. There's also a desktop app that you can use to update firmware. The app will tell you like what speaker you're on, because there's hidden speakers in there too. When you register the pedal, you get more, which also proves that they can deliver more functionality to these via firmware in the future. They haven't promised anything, but they very well may. There are presets available in them, both from Universal Audio and artist presets, which is really cool. There's Lincoln Brewster presets on these things.
Tim Pierce ones sound. David Ryan Harris.
Really good. Yeah. You can, via the app, configure these to use 4-cable method as well. So you can integrate them into your board, into your setup in multiple different ways. You can run stereo effects into them. You can run stereo effects after them. You can use these in a studio situation as well. They don't have, one of the features they do not have that other products like this do is a headphone out. So you will have to monitor these. You'll have to run them into something that you monitor them through. You can't just plug a pair of headphones into them. But that pretty much covers like all the features that are found. There's of course more. We'll link to Universal Audio's website where you can read more about these, download these manuals so you can really understand how each of these pedals works. But that's the sort of the feature set that they share. So we're going to hop into the individual pedals now and show you some sounds that we found that we really like within each of these pedals. So I've got the app pulled up for the Ruby. Now you can't access the controls via the app, but you can access the presets and the settings. And it also tells you down here at the bottom what speaker model you're using.
So this is actually the sound we used in the playing sample. It's the exact same thing, but nothing else is on. In the video, we had compression and delay and reverb, all that stuff. So here's a little bit of everything. That was all with the blue. So to us, the blue is kind of like the middle ground between the silver and the greenback. The silver is just, well, let's just hear it. We'll just show you that.
We'll cycle through them. So the blue, then we've got, this is the greenback. Now when the light changes color, it accesses another set of cabinet models or speaker models. This is a blue mod, so it's like a modded Celestian blue. I like that one.
I like that.
This one is called Match, so it's like the matchless G12H30. I like that one too. All right. This is the gold, Celestian Gold. You can turn the speaker modeling off. So you can run this pedal into something like an Axe Effects, which we tried, and it sounds great.
Yeah, and you can run it if you want to use external IRs, yeah.
Essentially, yeah. This is the silver.
More honky, more mids.
And then we're back to the blue. That's our favorite with the Brilliant channel. Do you want to just kind of roll through the...
Yeah, there's a lot of gain on tap.
This output level is like a pure output, so it doesn't change the tone. When we were speaking with the guys at Universal Audio about it, they said that it's like if you're running it in like mic line situations, you can use this to compensate for how much level you need depending on what you're running into. The bass and the treble controls are like cuts. So as you roll bass up, you're removing bass. As
it's a little confusing.
It is a little. As you roll treble up, you're basically cutting treble. So like this is the brightest setting, this is the darkest setting, and then cut works like cut would on a typical AC style amp. It's cutting treble, but it's a different frequency of treble.
Yeah.
So it's like you use these two treble controls basically to really dial in the top end. So Bradford, if you want to play, I'll just kind of mess with these controls.
That's where the beauty of a Vox is in the top end. So you use the cut and the treble differently. They're different frequencies.
lot of different, you can really dial it based on those controls. And you can really shape where that top end sits and how much mid-range you've got according to this bass control. But it's a little different than like just treble bass mid, So we've dialed in a sound on the vibrato channel. So we're in live mode. So these are our settings for this sound. And one thing we didn't mention before is each of these pedals has like an alt mode. So if you notice this switch is flipped up into the alt mode. So now we're going to control speed, intensity, and the level of room on the pedal. So this is sort of our intensity is
there's
at
like
0.
A flag on top of the pedal or the knob.
Yeah, the intensity is at 0, so there's no vibrato happening. This is just what the vibrato channel of the amp sounds like.
And you may actually like how this sounds on its own.
Yeah, and we are using the matchless speaker cab. Okay, so let's first play with this room. And now we'll bring in some vibrato. And again, you can set the pedal up so that you've got vibrato on and off via one of the foot switches if you would like. So that's just kind of a really quick tour through the Ruby. Really great AC30 type sounds in this pedal.
So the Dream is a 65 reverb. That's what they call it. So deluxe reverb. The Fender sound. It's got the snap. It's got the thing.
65
cool.
meaning like a black panel.
Yeah, black panel. Same idea as a Ruby, where you got different speakers, but a Ruby, like an AC30, has different channels.
Yep.
This is a little different. You can change different like mods, so to speak. You can do it stock. They have a lead mod. It's like a 80s OD special modification, as they call it, or the D-Tex.
And that's what you're hearing in our playing samples.
The D-Tex, the SRV modification. So you can leave it, you just switch to it if you want, and then you control a little bit of a boost, like how much of that like mod is boosted, basically, in a way. So very cool amps. Got spring reverb, as we talked about, instead of the room, because hello, deluxe reverb.
And that spring reverb is an algorithm from their Golden Reverb pedal, which is
Golden
Chef's Kiss.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, they named it apropos. So we're starting at a kind of just like a neutral setting on the D-Tex mod, and we're gonna go from there. So here's some neck pickup clean sounds as we add gain.
Sounds good. flip through the different amp models.
Amp mods?
Yeah. Here we go. So those are a little more subtle to me.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, Brian, you can't be on a lead and not crank up the gain. So can we go back to the amp mod and crank up the boost?
This one has tremolo as well, which is much like if you bought a Fender Deluxe Reverb, has tremolo in it. So let's listen to it. There you go. Deluxe Reverb in a box. Sounds pretty good. Finally, we have the Woodrow, which is a 55
Woodrow Wilson
instrument amplifier. Think of it as a 55
Why does he get his own amp?
Tweed Deluxe. Because he was an important person. All right. So let's just quickly go through what you get with the Woodrow. Would the Woodrow, like a mid-50s Tweed, has two sort of channels. So you've got an instrument and a mic volume, and they sound different. You can blend them to get different sounds.
They're both always on.
Yeah, you can't switch between one of the. Well, you can turn one off and turn the other one up.
But they're not.
And in that way,
they're not switchable like in the other pedals. Yeah.
And so this one, the sort of the amp is always the same model, but on the type over here, you can switch between the different boost types. So you've got a 80s rack delay preamp. Think the Edge from U2,
like the cord,
using that boost.
He uses the cord
to get a drive. You've got a clean preamp boost, and then you have the boost from a vintage tape
Echoplex. Machine. Yeah, I think it's the EP.
Yeah, the EP3.
Yeah. That's if you're a fan of the EP booster.
There you go.
That's a similar idea.
It's aptly named,
from what I understand.
And then you've got basically the same. You've got tone over here.
Just one control.
This is boost. This is tone. Yeah, just like the amp. It's one control on the amp. And then this gives you a room reverb type, and then you can swap the speakers here. So this is kind of like our favorite setting on this amp. This one to us feels very rootsy. You want to play, and I'll just kind of, first thing I'll do is I'll show you what these different, like the input when you increase one versus the other. So you can hear the instrument in was the first one I turned up. That one's a lot brighter and has a little more grind on it, and the mic is much warmer.
It's got like a lower end, like distorted sound.
Yeah, so we kind of like to blend them, I don't know, kind of right in this area.
Yeah. You kind of can treat it like EQ that way, though. If you want it warmer, add in channel 2. If you want it brighter, add more channel 1.
Yeah.
Or bring stuff out.
There you go. And then I'll show you what the tone does as we go through its range. So those boosts it's almost like having different overdrive pedals.
It is.
In front of it.
It is. The tone knob too adds a little bit, the brighter you get it, and this is actually kind of common.
Adds a little bit of grind.
Yeah, it like adds some dirt as you do that.
Yeah. So the Woodrow is probably the simplest of the three.
It's different than what we're used to, but if you were to keep it clean, you got to kind of keep some dirt in it, because as you clean it up, it does lose a little body.
Yeah.
But it's a more like raw and rocking kind of amp, like I mentioned, Joe Bonamassa. I mean, he ran those things like wide open, right? And then used his volume knobs and guitar. He's like when he like chewed everybody out for using pedals, and he starts using pedals again.
That happened.
Yes. But yeah, and I think like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers kind of sounds. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's different. Maybe you want this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not like if you want the chime, you gotta go Ruby.
Yeah.
If you want the beautiful clean platform, you gotta go Dream.
Yeah.
And if you want something a little in between,
I will say though, we were both like, all three of us. Nick was in on it. Actually, Nick heard us playing a little demo of the Woodrow, and he had to have a little go on his own. So check this out. Nick's got us in a stranglehold. Dad jokes abound. One thing we really did all come away from this pedal thinking is that it worked really well with pedals.
yeah, that was just awesome.
It was cool.
So all three very different. Other amps in a box style things have multiple amps at the ready for you to choose. You're gonna have to choose one of the three.
You have to pick wisely.
I feel like there's no way they're gonna make these, and like at least the Marshall. Like I said, there's got to at least be
maybe
a Marshall.
more coming.
Something, but maybe they're just waiting it out. But anyways, if you want something, you want that especially for the P-dub sound that we hear a lot or we chase after is always something Voxy, chimey, Britishy.
Yeah.
That's the Ruby for sure. If you like really like tight, snappy cleans, and that's important to you, that's the Dream.
Yeah.
If you like something a little more raw and rocking, I don't know. Like I hear the Woodrow and I'm like, that's like the kind of thing that I would use if I was like in Zach Williams' band or like in We the Kingdom.
I think if you're a church player and it's like you always gravitate toward Vox or Fender type of tones, like Fender, like late mid 60s Fender type of tones, and you want something that's different, like you want to build a little board like an inspirational kind of a thing, right? And something that has different sounds on it, like that Woodrow would be a cool choice for it.
It's cool. It's cool.
I want to say thank you for watching. We want to say a huge thank you to Universal Audio
and Vic
for letting us be a part of this launch. Vic and Kevin. Kevin's not from UA, but we thank you.
He is from Vintage King, where you should go to get
you can
gear.
get your UA pedals from Vintage King.
You should do that.
We'll link to it all in the description below. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Which one was your favorite of the three?
Ruby.
Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Ruby
for me too. Dream is a close second. Nick?
Woodrow.
Yeah! he's got him caught in a stranglehold.
Oh! Let's get out of the way. Oh!
That's right. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Hey.
Bye-bye.